I must say this is like really an interesting place to be in. Now we are at the A330 flat track beams final assembly and inspection. What is actually a flat track?
So we are a sole supplier to Airbus for flap track beams for all the A320, A321 family and A330 family. The
Okay.
flap track beams basically are used to lower and retract the flaps on the wing of an aircraft when it's taking off
Oh, right.
and landing.
Okay. Airbus, we now come to the Bell 407 assembly
Yes.
line,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So what's this all about?
So over here we make, this is a very handcrafted aircraft. So
Okay.
if you look at it, there are parts that are manufactured in another facility of ours in the city center.
Okay.
All these parts are, this is real aerospace craftsmanship. These are our most skilled guys. They make all these parts that then are assembled into.
So this is the front fuselage.
This is the rear fuselage.
Oh, so this is the rear
And here
fuselage.
you can see all the modules put together. When we talk about our global best value model, one of the reasons why we are a best value supplier to Airbus is we go to the first principles of economics. The raw materials, the qualified raw materials are Western sources. So a typical Indian manufacturer would have to import thousands of tons of metal. Let me show you something here. Here you talk about system assembly. All the products that you see that are systems and subsystems within our products are products by themselves designed and developed and made in India by Dynamatic. You
So you're saying
that
this is all made in India?
made in India.
See, when people
no-
talk about drones, I get very
no, there's no, by the way, zero China.
zero China.
Zero China. You'll find stuff made in Bangalore. You may find some stuff from Chennai, not China.
Hello and welcome to The Print. I'm Snehesh Alex Philip. I'm here at a very interesting place in Bangalore. Why I call this interesting is because this is an Indian company which is doing some amazing work in the aerospace sector. Well, I'm talking about Dynamatic Technologies, a company which actually started off as someone which manufactures hydraulic pumps for tractors to now making not just tools but complex parts for not just Airbus but also for Boeing, for even Bell and many other companies, including Dassault Aviation. And the man who's going to give us a tour of the facility is none other than Udayant Malhoutra, the man who owns it. He likes to be called Toby, not Sir, but Toby. And the interesting part is that while he runs a company which does an annual business of about 1,500 crores and is valued at about 6,000 crores, he doesn't operate out of any posh cabin. He actually operates out of this conference room here. So, hey, Toby.
Hi, Snehesh, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much. And it's actually a pleasure to have you on The Print. And we're looking forward to this trip.
Thank you, and you're very welcome.
So, Toby, tell us about your journey. You started out what, as a 20-year-old?
See, I was working through college. We had some prosperity. My father was an entrepreneur,
Okay.
and we went to good schools. Uh,
Well, that's a Indigo Airbus flight which is taking off
yes,
with your parts right
with,
above.
with our flap track beams.
Perfect.
So, coming back to the earlier question, so my father was an entrepreneur. I worked with him through college.
Okay.
We had an investment in a factory in Bangalore that made tractor parts
Okay.
and
Hydraulic.
pumps
Yeah.
for tractors, and it had gone on hard times. It was not able to meet its financial obligations, which at that time was difficult. And it was run by a very close friend of my father's who was himself a Stanford educated engineer,
Okay.
the
Okay.
MD of this company. It was a small business. We did 1.5 crores in sales, but at that time, okay, that was also decent. But it had negative capital.
Okay.
So while I was in college, we kept getting, notices from banks.
Mhm.
So I came here very early. I didn't go for my master's. Straight as I graduated at 20, I was here. And what was amazing was the tractor parts we made connected up with my childhood in Himachal Pradesh in a boarding school, where I went to school with children of big farmers in Punjab, Haryana,
Okay.
Himachal.
Yeah.
And so we were able to go out, engage with, stay with friends and go to the market and come back and sell products in the aftermarket as a spare with advance checks,
Okay.
which we could use to restart the business. And also, since we were getting higher prices in the aftermarket as a
Yeah.
spare,
Yeah.
we were able to give back the banks 20% of every check, and
Okay.
repay the banks and then stabilize the company. After 5 or 6 years, the company had paid off all its old debts. And in the early
Yeah.
90s, I followed my own dreams at the back of the hydraulic plant. We set up a small garage and we started working with the DRDO for the Lakshya.
Yeah.
And then we started developing products for HAL on the IJT, and then on the Sukhoi. We built 1/6 of the Sukhoi airframe.
Okay.
And the rest is history. We became a global partner to all the best companies that we've talked about earlier.
So, but you're also for with HAL. You're also worked on the Sukhoi,
And
the
also the
30 MKI,
Tejas.
as well as for the
The
Tejas.
Tejas is the front fuselage is manufactured by us.
The front fuselage is manufactured
Yes.
as, and for the Sukhoi you mentioned,
We
what are the
made the
things?
entire empennage, the vertical fins,
Okay.
horizontal stabilizers, ventral fins, the air brakes, the canards, the slats. All that was
So
built by
there's a
us.
lot of it was being built by you.
Yes.
Okay, and I think that's a very good example of a public-private partnership, right?
Yes.
Because you were a private company who had a facility right there with the HAL.
We are the only private company that had a private facility inside a defense PSU for over a decade. And it was a very good working relationship that we built with HAL. In fact, I count myself as a child of HAL and DRDO. I learned from them. And then, of course, we globalize and we learn from the best in the world.
I must say this is like really an interesting place to be in. Now we are at the A330 flat track beams final assembly and inspection. What is actually a flat track?
So we are a sole supplier to Airbus for flap track beams for all the A320, A321 family and A330 family. The
Okay.
flap track beams basically are used to lower and retract the flaps on the wing of an aircraft when it's taking off
Oh, right.
and landing.
Okay.
And it's a flight critical product, and it's a really beautiful product that we make. For example, these are the carriages that move on top of the beam, and you can see we make all the parts, we assemble them, and then they go onto the beams themselves. Okay. So if you look at this one, this is the A330 beam, and you see all the child parts also made within Dynamatic, assembled here carefully, and then sent to the customer. This is a very interesting case study. It's the world's largest selling aircraft, the A320 family.
Yeah.
If you see this one is the original design from Airbus. We were producing it for about 8-9 years. Okay. It was designed with a lot of parts. Okay. And this is a very interesting redesign that we worked with the customer to go monolithic. So instead of so many parts, it's been redesigned, qualified and certified as a single piece beam. And what you see here is this amazing transformation of a product like that to a product like this. So it's not just manufacturing, but it's very high level aeronautical engineering work that
So
we do.
you've redesigned an existing product that the Airbus had. You were
Yes.
manufacturing it for about 8 years.
Yes, for
And
8
then
or 9 years.
8 or 9 years, you redesigned it.
Yes. Our engineering director, who's based in the United Kingdom,
Okay.
Steve Hayes,
Huh.
is the father of that monolithic model over there.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And the Airbus now uses this instead of the
It's-
earlier
it's the
design that it
similar.
had.
Yes, indeed. And it makes the product more robust, it makes it more repeatable, and it's very efficient in a world where supply chains are fragmented.
Airbus, we now come to the Bell 407 assembly
Yes.
line,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So what's this all about?
So over here we make, this is a very handcrafted aircraft. So
Okay.
if you look at it, there are parts that are manufactured in another facility of ours in the city center.
Okay.
All these parts are, this is real aerospace craftsmanship. These are our most skilled guys. They make all these parts that then are assembled into
So this is
these
the front
assemblies. This is
fuselage.
the rear fuselage.
Oh, so this is the rear
And here you can
fuselage.
see all the modules put together. That
So this
way,
entire Bell 407 fuselage is made here.
yes, the entire thing was industrialized. First, it was digitized,
Okay.
it was industrialized, and the industrialization process of every part is more robust when it's a digital definition. So that was done about 10 years ago. And then we industrialized the assembly sequence and delivered, I think up till now, roughly about 400 helicopter ship sets of various assemblies that make this fuselage.
400
400
helicopters.
helicopter ship sets already.
So, but this is, Bell doesn't have any offsets. This is not part
This
of the
is
Bell's offset thing. This is Bell's pure business decision that they've taken.
Bell has very little sales in India. This is global best value. They go out looking for great suppliers anywhere on the planet. Suppliers who have engineering talent, suppliers who have craftsmanship and attention to detail, quality, integrity, and that's what you have. So this is a global best value purchase rather than any offset or anything of that sort.
And what is it that I see over here now?
This is the latest order which we have for Airbus for the A220 doors.
Okay.
So it's very interesting. All variants of doors for the A220, which is the world's latest commercial aircraft, will be built at this site. So here you see the passenger door assembly jigs. This is actually for validation. There are two passenger doors. There are two service doors. There are cargo doors. There are emergency escape overwing doors, which you see, the emergency escape hatch.
Okay.
Yes?
So all doors of the A220 flying anywhere in the world manufactured.
No, so right now, this is a future state. At the end of next year, we will start what is called the first article of this program.
Okay.
So we will start at the end of next year our delivery. But what we'll be doing quite uniquely is all variants of doors on the world's most modern jetliner will be made in India and exported.
And exported.
And exported. And by the way, they haven't sold a single A220 in India yet, but I'm waiting for it to come because it's a phenomenal aircraft. When we talk about our global best value model, one of the reasons why we are a best value supplier to Airbus is we go to the first principles of economics. The raw materials, the qualified raw materials are Western sources. So a typical Indian manufacturer would have to import thousands of tons of metal, use very expensive capital. The cost of capital in India is roughly 10% versus Europe, which is 1%. And then just rely on cheap labor. What we've done is we have our own plants in the United Kingdom where we get local raw material. We use robots with very fine machines, German
Local
machines.
raw material, as in the steel, the aluminium that
All
is
the
used.
steel, aluminum, titanium are all Western sourced, qualified raw materials, and you have to use those with a traceability for these customers.
Okay.
So we take those thousands of tons of metal, roughly 90% of it is machined out. If you see this, it's all machined out. And what we ship to India from a Dynamatic plant in UK to India is where there's a density of human talent. So we have our engineers, our craftsmen here. We have our capital there with the material requirement there.
So in the UK, you get these large aluminium pieces. Let's say
Yes.
whatever ton.
Yeah.
So for example, this is one. In how much in reality would an aluminium would have weighed so much to?
So this entire beam
Yeah.
is about 220 kilos.
Okay.
To produce this, we would have used roughly 2.5 tons of raw material, which we've actually machined out and we've just shipped the net shapes over here.
Wow.
And what we do is it's also environmentally correct, because all the swarf that we generate in Europe is bricketed and given back to the mill. So it's good economics, it's good business, but it's also good ecologically.
So this is basically, and then you export these parts back to.
And then they come here in these boxes.
Yeah.
They come in these boxes on a Friday,
Huh.
and the next Friday it goes back with complete product. And we keep rotating these boxes around. One-way parts coming from there, and complete assemblies ready to go onto the aircraft from here.
Oh, wow.
And both sides are Dynamatic owned facilities.
Both sides are Dynamatic owned facilities.
And the Tiranga flies everywhere. So Snehesh, I told you about Dynamatic Aerospace.
Yeah.
We started it as a startup in a garage in Pina 30 years ago. Let me show you another startup.
Another startup.
Another startup.
Within Dynamatic Technologies.
Within Dynamatic, and it's called Dynaton Systems.
Okay.
It's actually very modest, but very deep.
Okay.
And rather than flash, you'll find a lot of technology developed here before we talk about it.
Okay.
So this is a drone laboratory.
Okay.
And as you see, there's a lot of buzz in India about drones. But a large part of the drones people are now realizing are basically Chinese drones that have just been relabeled.
Absolutely.
Or have a significant Chinese content. Let me show you something here. Here you talk about system assembly. All the products that you see that are systems and subsystems within our products are products by themselves, designed and developed and made in India by Dynamatic.
So you're saying this is all made in India?
Made in India.
See, when people talk about drones, I get very...
No, there's no, by the way, zero China.
Zero China.
Zero China. You'll find stuff made in Bangalore. You may find some stuff from Chennai, not China.
Okay.
Which we'll show you. And we have also down to the PCB assembly level. These are all Indian, completely decyanized. And then let me show you about the design of the drones themselves. It goes to first principles, using computational fluid dynamics to optimize the design so you can fly in very difficult circumstances, over deserts, over mountains. So it's really optimized. If you look at this, for example, the autopilots. Can I have a look at the autopilot? So this would be the actual autopilot design.
Okay.
And you can see the level of detail. Everything here is designed and protected by us. It's all domestically Dynamatic designed stuff. The software, the hardware.
Everything is...
We've got over 5 million lines of code without actually launching a product. So if you look at the products, even the cameras, we're basically going to buy the lenses, but the cameras are configured by us, designed by us, built by us. The gimbals are designed by us, built by us. You have 3 different variants of drones.
So if you could tell to our viewers, what are these? I see 3 different ones.
Yeah, this will become the Cheel. This is actually what I was showing you the design of. It's a 5-meter wingspan. So the wings are 15 feet wide.
I'll ask my video journalist to just showcase this. This is the Cheel.
Yes.
That the Dynamatic Technologies is making here.
So
this is going to be both for deserts. You said this is also for surveillance in high altitude areas.
Yes, and now this particular drone will have an Australian engine. So it's from Orbital, who we are partnering.
Okay.
The reason we are using this engine is it's a extremely robust, very efficient engine.
So when you say engine, this is, I assume this is the engine that you're talking about?
Yes, it's an internal combustion engine, because this drone is designed to fly with an endurance of 8 hours. So it's available all the time. You can have 3 sorties a day, so you have a 24-hour surveillance with one of each of these drones.
So when you say it's an Australian engine, so you're going to import it from Australia, how does it work?
So if you look at this whole engine, we are partnering with Orbital. This is made in Australia. And over time, we will develop products together. The idea is that some of our drones will find their way into their markets, their engines will find their way into our markets, but there's no China here. As
There's
you know, Australia is also
they are also very wary of China.
China.
And coming back to these drones, so this is the Cheel, which you say
Yes.
is for the surveillance
Yes.
part of it.
Yes, this one is actually very interesting. It uses a jet engine.
Okay.
It flies at 600 kilometers per hour and can target with munitions sites which are 80 kilometers away.
So this is like a loitering munition.
It is a loitering munition, but the beauty of this design
Huh.
is it doesn't use GPS and it has no radio control.
So how does it?
So the beauty of this is the Cheel will give sighting and targeting data
Okay.
to this, which is optoelectronic. It's optical. So
Okay.
this will actually fly like a real bird, looking at waypoints optically. It'll reach its target and it'll hit the target.
So when you say that the Cheel will provide, for example, let's say if the army is looking for loitering munitions, large number has been procured. Let's say the army doesn't procure the Cheel, but is interested in this. Can it work independently?
So then we can design the software for that, but it's optimized to be a system of systems.
Okay.
So one product does the surveillance, gives the data continuously. The beauty is this data cannot be jammed because there's no radio there. You can't do GPS denial or spoofing because it doesn't rely on GPS. It just flies like a bird. It flies by line of sight.
By line of sight.
Yes, and it
Interesting.
looks at different waypoints, feature here, feature there, and it navigates its way. This is a patang. The patang is basically a tethered drone.
Oh, that's why it's called the Patang.
Patang, exactly. And this can be up at about 300 feet.
Okay.
And the camera you see there has a 5 kilometer very high accuracy and resolution.
Okay.
But we can put other payloads later on it.
So all these drones are currently are in development stage right now.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So by when do you think? So when we talk about drones, multiple companies claim made in India drones.
Yeah.
But the autopilot is from somewhere else.
Yeah.
You'll have motors from somewhere else, and most of these originally come from China.
So these motors we're developing in Chennai.
Okay, in Chennai.
In Chennai, where we have one of our ex-CEOs who's a great specialist in electrical design.
Okay.
So he has a very nice laboratory for electric motors, and they're developing all our electric motors for us.
So from the Airbus and the Bell facility, we are now moving to where?
We're moving, so that building is named after Air Commodore Ravish Malhotra, who joined me in my garage when I was 26, 27 years old.
Okay.
This building is the GP Reddy hangar.
Okay.
This is GP Reddy, who was head of HAL's aircraft division, and he joined me just in that transition from garage into factory.
Okay.
So we named the buildings after them. But what's also interesting is this
I
is
can see the organic vegetable garden.
Yes,
You're
yes.
also into gardening?
Well, we actually produce our vegetables for our canteen at our research farm and all the spare land that we have here.
Okay.
So it enriches the land, but it's also organic and it's healthy, and it's part of our environmentalism. You see those roofs there? They have solar panels on top.
Okay.
As I said earlier, our entire energy is from the sun. It comes to this utility center.
Okay.
And then we distribute power, water, air on these rails.
Okay.
At the heart of our capabilities is a very strong tooling capability.
Okay.
So if it's for detailed parts, we make tools for primary parts. So you actually can
So when you
press
say
on these.
tools, if you could explain to your viewers, what is this tool that you talk about?
So there are two kinds of tools. Tools that make these parts
Okay.
that are used in presses to form these things. So there's a very big confluence of engineering and craftsmanship in the tool design and tool making itself.
Yeah.
Because you're going to make these kind of parts out of plain, hold this is like a feather.
Oh, it's absolutely, yeah.
Like a feather, right?
Yeah.
So when you build a bird, you have lots of feathers. That's what we do. And
Okay.
then there are bigger tools, like what you see, which we made for Dassault, for example, which are pink. This is a
That's a
business-
Dassault color.
Yeah, that's the Dassault color. And you see these jigs have all been made in India for the rare fuel tank
Okay.
of the world's best business jet. This is the Falcon 6X, the latest aircraft they're building. It's the world's best business jet. It's the rare fuel
So the
tank.
rear fuel tank
Yeah.
would be manufactured by.
Dynamatic. This is actually the first one built by us.
Okay.
And then if you see the tooling, all that tooling
Huh.
has also been built by us. The tools, the part tools, the big jigs, assembly jigs and fixtures. If you look at this device here,
Yeah.
it's what you call a laser tracker. This is when you set the jig, we set it with a laser tracker.
Okay.
So this one will set the key points, and then this jig becomes calibrated to make aircraft products.
So you mentioned this. This is the first part, and you had a very interesting story. Usually, it takes what 18 months to manufacture it.
It normally something like this for a first article would take about 18 months.
Okay.
We told Dassault we'll do it in 12 months. And then at the signing of the contract, we said, you know what, we'll give it to you as a Christmas gift. And they laughed at us and said, Array. But the chief procurement officer of Dassault said, if you are ready for Christmas, I'll fly down personally and collect it. And last week he came down personally and took delivery of it.
And you were dressed up as a Santa Claus.
I was dressed up as Santa Claus.
So, viewers, while we are at the Dassault section, this particular section also houses the parts or the manufacturing facility for Boeing. Now, we are not able to show you what they're doing for Boeing is because the Boeing work is primarily defense related. Now, they're involved in the P-8 program as well as the F-15EX program too. Now, the F-15 is the latest fighter aircraft of the US, and the US Air Force is procuring about 200 of them, and multiple parts of that fighter as well as of the P-8 is made here in Bangalore by the Dynamatic Technologies.
Yes, indeed. And we are sole supplier globally to Boeing Defense Systems. And they're an extraordinary company. And we are currently their supplier of the year. So it's a very
The supplier of the year.
worldwide.
So you've been a supplier of the year for Airbus.
We were the winner of the Global Sustainability Award of Airbus, which is a very highly coveted award. We've been a best supplier to all our customers.
So it's like multiple competing customers come to you.
Yeah.
This must be right. The only other company which I remember which works is the big one, which is the Tata, right? Which works with both Boeing and the Airbus.
See, big companies like them have access to deep capital.
Yeah.
We have access to deep kabiliyat. Kabiliyat is our capital.
And that's something that you keep emphasizing on,
That's
kabiliyat.
it. Kabiliyat. From the last man to the first man, kabiliyat is the key.